October 2025 just became the messiest month in hip-hop history, and what I'm about to tell you is absolutely insane. What was supposed to be Cardi's victory lap turned into an all-out war zone, and nobody saw this coming. One minute the timeline was celebrating, the next minute shots were flying from every direction, but here's the wildest part, this wasn't just beef between two people. Three of rap's biggest names were about to expose secrets that should have stayed buried forever. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll understand why the entire music industry is still shook. After 7 long years of waiting, Cardi finally dropped her sophomore album, Am I the Drama, and the streets went absolutely crazy. Fans couldn't stop talking about the numbers, debating whether she moved 99,600 copies or a clean 200,000 in that first week. Either way, it was massive, right? The Cardi gang was celebrating hard, throwing her name in conversations about the biggest female rap debuts of the decade. Social media was flooded with praise, critics were calling it a triumphant return, everything seemed perfect. The album was fire, the reviews were solid, and Cardi was back on top where she belonged. Her fans were convinced she just cemented her legacy. But hold on, because in the rap game, success always comes with a price. And somebody was watching those celebrations very, very closely, someone who had her own records to protect and wasn't about to let anyone forget it. That's when things started getting weird. Nicki wasn't saying much at first, but her fingers were definitely moving. She started retweeting some interesting stats about her own album Pink Friday 2, and people immediately noticed. Posts about how she had the highest first-week sales of any female rapper this decade, how she absolutely dominated Spotify with 28.2 million streams on day one despite dropping during Christmas season, how her vinyl sales were record-breaking and historic. Now look, these were all facts, legitimate accomplishments that nobody could deny, but the timing? Come on. While everyone was hyping Cardi's comeback and celebrating her success, Nicki was strategically reminding the world who really held the crown. Some fans called it confidence and justified pride in her achievements, others called it shade and pettiness. But here's what matters. The energy shifted real quick, and people started bracing for impact. The Barbs and the Cardi gang knew exactly what was about to happen. You could feel the storm coming, and it was going to be ugly. Then Nicki did something that made the entire internet freeze in its tracks. She tweeted something so direct, so brutal, that everyone knew there was no going back from this point. Barney Dangerous, ABCDEFG falling off the charts with a big belly, running trains, barefoot still smelly, still you could not outsell me. Wait, it gets worse. The alphabet thing was a direct shot at Cardi's song Magnet from the new album, where she did that same flow. Nicki was basically mocking her style, but Nicki didn't stop there. Not even close. She went after everything. Cardi's appearance, claiming she got surgery to look like her, brought up her pregnancy in the nastiest way possible, even threw shots at her family members. The $4.99 album price became ammunition, with Nicki suggesting Cardi was cheapening music just to boost numbers and create fake hype. She called it desperate marketing tactics. This wasn't subliminal anymore. This was open warfare with no rules. And guess what Cardi did? She wasn't about to let anyone disrespect her like that. She fired back with the energy of someone who'd been waiting for this exact moment, like she'd been preparing for this battle. Cardi reminded Nicki that she'd been in the game for 16 years and should be comparing herself to artists from her era. Taylor Swift, Rihanna, Drake, all the legends who came up around the same time. I was in high school when you came out, why you comparing yourself to me? That line hit different because it exposed something real, something Nicki probably didn't want people thinking about. The age gap, the generation gap, all of it became part of the conversation. But Cardi wasn't done, not by a long shot. She went even harder, bringing up fertility doctors and claiming Nicki couldn't reproduce naturally because of her lifestyle choices over the years. The streets gasped at that one because it was so personal and unexpected. She posted pictures of Nicki's brother in a pink Barbie wig, the exact style Nicki rocks constantly. Nicki clapped back with a photo of Jay-Z in that same wig, trying to flip the script. But here's where it got extra petty and downright vindictive. She also posted a pic of Cardi in a Barney costume, and get this, that photo came from their infamous 2018 Fashion Week fight, where Cardi left with a knot on her head and one shoe missing. These two were digging up every piece of history they had, every old wound, and nothing, absolutely nothing was off limits anymore. The gloves were completely off. Now here's where things get really crazy, and I mean next level insane. Right in the middle of this chaos, JT decided to pick a side, and you'll never guess who she chose. Actually, you probably can guess. She jumped on Twitter mocking Cardi, saying she should be celebrating her #1 album instead of getting into messy online fights. I would have been breakdancing right now if I was #1, but she knows she lied. This wasn't random though, and this is important to understand. Cardi had dissed JT hard on that same Magnet song everyone kept referencing. She called JT Nicki's lapdog, said she's been riding for the queen, but still hasn't gotten a feature after all that loyalty and dedication, basically calling her a groupie with nothing to show for it. Cardi even went at JT's man Lil Uzi Vert with some wild lines about him carrying her bags and threw in rumors about his personal life. That line about not sticking things in her man's behind? Yeah, that was aimed straight at Uzi, suggesting some questionable activities. JT had been sitting on that anger for months, probably fuming every time she heard that song. And now she finally had her moment to strike back, with Nicki's full support backing her up. The trio of chaos was officially complete, and the timeline was about to explode. But wait, because things got darker fast, way darker than anyone expected. JT brought up Cardi's new boyfriend, NFL star Stefon Diggs, and this is where it got really messy and uncomfortable. A stylist named Chris Blake Griffith had previously accused Stefon of making unwanted advances and then allegedly threatening him after being rejected. It was a whole situation that had made waves online before. JT reposted the interview and went completely off, saying that men in vulnerable situations should be protected and directly calling Stefon out. She tagged everyone from major news networks to political figures to, and I'm not making this up, the country of Mexico. Nobody knows why Mexico got tagged in this mess, but it happened and became a meme immediately. When people tried to flip it on her by posting pics of Uzi in dresses and feminine bags, pointing out the irony, JT defended her man lightning quick. She said his style made him who he is and doesn't define anything about his character or personal life, but she kept pushing the Stefon narrative hard, trying to embarrass Cardi through her relationship and make her look bad by association. She thought she had the upper hand with this move. She thought she'd finally gotten one over on Cardi. She thought wrong, so incredibly wrong. That's when Cardi pulled out the nuclear option. And I mean absolute destruction mode that left everyone speechless. She dropped screenshots of text messages between JT and Uzi that exposed just how toxic and messy their relationship really was behind the scenes. The text showed constant arguments, Uzi telling JT she was moody and difficult to deal with, passive-aggressive exchanges that painted a picture of dysfunction, and then came the bombshell that broke the internet and had everyone's jaw on the floor. Uzi wrote, "You mad at me yet, but it's just because you pregnant, so it makes you even more moody. Hold up, pregnant?" That was news to literally everyone watching this unfold. Cardi also shared messages about JT being deeply insecure over Brittany Renner, Uzi's ex-girlfriend, and how much it was eating her alive with jealousy. The text showed JT spiraling about whether Uzi still had feelings for Brittany, but Cardi's caption is what really made jaws drop across the internet. She wrote, "I want justice for them babies. Your man makes you remove every time." She was claiming Uzi pressured JT into ending multiple pregnancies, which is an incredibly serious accusation. She even threatened to play audio recordings of Uzi talking about wanting to see Brittany in court and teased revealing what he supposedly said about Roc Nation and the music industry. JT tried to defend herself desperately, called Cardi a liar and a fraud, threatened legal action for defamation, but the damage was already done. The screenshots were out there, the streets had seen the receipts, and they weren't forgetting anytime soon. The internet never forgets. By early October, JT was so heated and frustrated that she took her anger straight to the studio and dropped a full diss track aimed directly at Cardi. She called her ugly, pathetic, questioned her street credibility and authenticity, and didn't hold back on a single insult or jab. She went at everything, her appearance, her skills, her come-up story. Meanwhile, Nicki and Cardi's war only got worse, spiraling into territory nobody expected or wanted to see. Nicki started attacking Cardi's 7-year-old daughter Culture, using words like roach and monkey to describe an innocent child. Yes, you heard that right. A literal child got dragged into grown women's beef. Cardi responded by bringing up Nicki's childhood experiences, referencing things Nicki had spoken about publicly in interviews regarding her father's behavior and how it affected her growing up. She called Nicki someone struggling with personal issues and suggested it was affecting her kids' well-being. Both of them crossed lines that can never be uncrossed. bringing innocent children and deep family trauma into a beef that literally started over album sales numbers and ego. Nothing more than competition turned toxic. Nicki later apologized to Culture in a public statement that seemed somewhat sincere, but then followed it up with even more shots at Cardi within hours, showing the apology was more about damage control and public relations than any genuine remorse or desire for peace. The hate was too deep, too personal now. There was no coming back from this. So where does this leave us now in the aftermath of all this chaos? 3 of hip-hop's most powerful women are at war. Their children are being weaponized as tools for insults, private relationship details are exposed to millions of people worldwide, and the whole situation shows zero signs of cooling down anytime soon. If anything, it seems to be escalating. Cardi's openly threatening to see Nicki in person and handle things face to face. Nicki's calling for boycotts of Cardi's music and trying to tank her success, and JT's stuck in the middle trying to prove her loyalty to Nicki while her most intimate secrets are plastered across every blog, gossip site, and social media page. Her relationship is now public fodder. This beef revealed something really uncomfortable about how far artists will go when ego and competition completely take over their judgment. The saddest part? They're all talented enough, all successful enough, that none of this was even necessary. They could have just focused on their music and let their art speak. But in today's rap game, drama often sells way more than actual music, and these 3 just gave the internet exactly what it craves: complete and total chaos with no resolution in sight. The question now isn't who won this battle or who came out on top, it's whether any of them can actually recover from what they revealed about each other. Reputations have been damaged, families have been hurt, and careers have ended over less than what we just witnessed. Only time will tell if bridges this badly burned can ever be rebuilt, or if this is just the beginning of something even uglier that'll define their legacies forever. One thing's for sure though, hip-hop has never seen anything quite like October 2025, and we'll be talking about this moment for years to come. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to not miss any of the celebrity gossip. Thanks for watching.